Okay, this is going to be a project breakdown of the Transformers Shockwave redesign. So why this clip? Why this clip of Transformers? Well, because I like science fiction, and within that theme, Transformers is pretty much a serious challenge when it comes to sound design, and definitely was an inspiration for me to get started in this entire work field. So pretty much style choices that we have going on just beforehand, before we get into the nitty-gritty of stuff, is that these sounds are going to be hard-hitting with like distorted sounds like that, or what's this, like just really weird sounds. And this was because I wanted to induce the terror and like strength that this robot brings to the table. So majority of these sounds are taken from my own personal library that is filled to the brim with random stuff. I also took a lot of things from Splice, and I used software by the name of Soundly and SoundQ, YouTube, and then the classic MP3 conversion stuff. Some synthesis here and there when it came to designing sounds. This is nothing actually, but I used Serum occasionally. But the majority is just edited samples. Now, going over this project in general is the following. I structured tracks on the right in a bit of a different way, and I wouldn't do this normally, but I divided them per shot. So like we have shot 1, that's just this entire thing until the camera angle changes, and then I have shot 2 group, that is just this sequence right here. And I don't know why it came to be like this, because nowadays I would just sort out my sounds in like a group full of impacts, a group full of environmental sounds. So this is not really my workflow anymore, and I don't even recall why I did it like this. But anyways, I used the Ableton locators to pinpoint where certain things would start. So like this is roughly Shockwave impact. There was another weird acoustic impact right here. The sound of blades spinning, like it started right here. This is where the tower falls. This is the a certain clang that I found cool, and the gunshots. You get the point, right? I use the system still, so the Ableton locators, to pinpoint where things should happen. As you can see, these groups, so we've shot 1 is a group, big impact, second impact, impacts diverse, robot, robot drone. Groups is what I mainly name, and for the rest of them, I cannot start doing Control R for every single track that I'm gonna do. I'm not renaming any tracks, pretty much, because that's just too much work, and nobody else is going to open this project beside me. If I were to share it with someone, I would I would pretty much rename everything, but right now, no. So let me play this once, and then we'll go over what's actually happening. That's the entire video clip, and this small little 23-second clip has 147 tracks and groups included. I want to go over the major groups first, not per shot, but like the groups that are in each shot, and we'll just go over them in general. So first one is big impact. That consists of 6 layers, which is this. So in this group, I have like just random sounds, like this impact that I found. There's that. There's an explosion. Like I just found this, and apparently, no, warp is not on. Okay, I thought it was, because it sounded pretty weird, but that's just how it sounds. So there's this, kind of like a metallic one. There's a glitch. There's this thing for like an extra mid explosion, and there's this shifter. So This thing has apparently this on it, which I don't even know what it does. It does nothing. There are two shifters here. One shifter is apparently set to 158 hertz shift in the course, and then this mod fine is automated, so it goes down. Without these, it sounds like this. And then with, you get this like edit inside of it. So altogether, this is just one impact that consists of 6 layers. Pretty simple, pretty, it could have used a bit more EQing here and there, but it works, so whatever. Second impact, nothing too crazy. This uses a thing right there. There's an explosion. Okay, pretty cool. This is just a warped sound of doors. Normally it's way shorter. Sounds cool. This is from the Titanfall game files. So there's that. There's the Slam plugin. No, Slam Impact, I meant. Another Titanfall thing. And another one. Now you wouldn't notice that it's from Titanfall, but... So there's that. That's the second impact one. Impacts diverse, just random ones. All just timed to whatever's happening. And kind of like a transition into the next shot. Robot. This is the most fun thing in this entire shot. And pretty much the entire, no, not the entire project. We'll come back to that later. So, robot sounds like this. Transitioning over into the other shot, that's just the way I like to do it. There's a bunch going on here. One of them is this spark sound right here. Don't even really know why it's in here. It's kind of like this extra thing, I don't know. There's this. It's a warped helicopter sound. There's a delay on here apparently. Oh yeah, and then with the shifter, it gets a bit lower, and then a super fast delay on it that gives it tonality. So there's that. There's a metallic bass from Chi. That's really cool. This thing is really insane. This is one of the biggest racks that I've ever made for just one sound. So without, it sounds like this. So this is a sample that I found. It's just literally someone handling a kitchen utensil, probably like a knife or a fork, spoon, whatever. And then with effects, it's gonna sound like this. So it's kind of like the rotor blades from that guy. So what do we have going on here is a spectral time, a shifter, a reverb on there. There's redux to get a bit more grit into there. Erosion and overdrive. Spectral resonation, phaser flanger, a automated shifter, utility infiltrator 2 set to 1 octave below preset. So now you get this like wood. This like delayed 1 octave below thing. It has a lot of low end. This has got to be one of the craziest EQs that you've probably ever seen. But there's like mild low end information in here, and there's a lot more in here. And the shifter -10 semitones, because without. It sounds super crunchy. So there we go. I think, yeah, I resampled this into... So that's the same thing, only I think I put this through either Serum or a granulator. I don't remember because the original track is not here anymore. Or I loaded in a random infiltrator thing. I think I loaded in a random infiltrator preset. And then just came that, and this is another one. It's resampled from the same thing, so from this pink track right here, I've made these two. Altogether, this just sounds like this. And then in context, we get the entirety of shot 1 again, and we get this. So that is the entirety of shot 1. Now let's go over this shot 2 thing, because this one is pretty simple, just one explosion of 4 tracks. Nothing too crazy right there, absolutely nothing. Sparks and booms, this is... Don't actually know what this is. Grenade explosion. This features 1, 2, 3, 4 sounds that I made myself. So this is the slowed down version of Shot Down Mech, which is this sound. We got sparkle and sparkle in there. Grenade explosion. And sparkle 1. So altogether this sounds like this. And that's pretty much the entirety of shot 2, because shot 2 is not that crazy. Shot 3 is also not that insane, but this one lasts really long, so there's a lot of stuff going on. We have the Tower Creek Fall, which is this. And that's pretty cool, because this sound is also heavily edited, I think. That's just a submarine creek from Splice. This is another submarine thing from Splice, warped to get this like really, so I think it's time stretched, pretty weird feeling it gives. Delay shift, so without, this sounds like this. I think this is, no, it's not slowed down. This is the actual sample. And then with a delay, really fast delay, a shifter, infiltrator is on here. This is a wooden table. You know what, that's actually a pretty weird choice maybe, but in context I think it fits. And especially considering what's going on here. It just flows over. And then we get some impacts here. If there was Vine Boom in here, you would even believe me. But there's not. It's just like Sennheiser samples and some laser impacts. This thing. And extra booms here and there to give it a bit more depth. There's the gunshot group. So that's just normal, and then later on it sounds like that because this guy shoots, he drops down, and then somewhere in the original I heard shots there as well because of the locator. And so those were outside of the camera and behind this entire blockage of whatever it is. So that's just a bit of a difference. Some sounds that are not grouped right here, just random stuff. And we get the giant Spec Ops attack group. And that's that. It's a lot of different sounds, and most of them are just impacts, grunts. There's just screams there. Bullet hit. Another bullet hit. Creak from the robot that goes over the ground, like right there. scrape to accentuate it. A Sennheiser thing, my sparkle. So together, just some extra texture. Sci-fi explosion. What? It's like really low in volume. You barely hear that. This has something. This has automation inside of the clip, transposition. Pretty funny. Of the guy falling. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. And next up, this is just extremely time warped. There's this thing. That. Is there anything changed in here? Yeah, there is transposition. And this one doesn't have anything, but this is weird. Really funny. So occasionally I do that as well, just transposition inside of the clip instead of using a shifter. Why I use that over shifter, I don't know. This is just practically the same thing. At least that's what I think. So why so many sounds in this entire like sequence? I actually think it's really interesting to put like as many details inside of something as possible, because it makes it interesting to listen to. Shot 4. I'll unfold this. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 layers for just one shot, and it's an entire sequence where 2 arms come up like this. Explosion, boom, another explosion, boom. They go left and right. And then close up of this cylindrical thing. So this sounds like this. And it's so sick to listen to. Really sick. One more time. And especially in context, like having listened to the rest. It just flows over so well. So we have a bunch of sounds in here, like Shockwave Blast, that sounds like this. Just like a tonal sweep. There's this. We use this sound as well in the Tower Creek Fall and this entire sequence right here. So about reusing sounds, never a bad thing. I think it's optimal to reuse sounds. Only make them a bit of a tiny pitch. This one is not shifted in pitch all too much, but because there's so much going on, I think it goes pretty unnoticed that this sound has been used before. We have one of my favorite explosion sounds right here. Super sick. Could have given this a longer fade out, but that's just me. We have explosion long. Pretty sick. This is one of the sickest impacts ever. Has some minor processing things, so without and with, just a bit more low end. There is a transient shaper on here that gives it more, a bit more pump or whatever, a bit more of a kick. What is this? Oh yeah, just as a kind of like intro to the rest. There's this Kavari 808 sound. That's absolutely sick. I found that on Splice somewhere. This is pitch shifted. Yeah, 12 semitones up. Normally it's this. I made it into that. This is, as you can see, this has a date 2023-09-27. So this project is already a year old, but this is actually bounced, and I don't know. Oh, just like this one. These two tracks are bounced to themselves. So this was resampled from something. I don't remember what I did. I think I pressed freeze track and then flatten to make this into a completely new thing. And it sounds like this now. This is one of the best sounds I've ever heard. it's so crunchy and so insanely distorted. So there's that. This sound pretty much leads the entire thing, because without it, it would sound really weird. And I want this like immense crunchy impact, because like it goes so close to the cameras. There's like so much noise probably. So that's pretty much a stylistic choice, because now that I muted this, it could do without it. I just prefer using that one. We have another textured loop. That's this. Yeah, this is resampled with like a delay and a shifter, maybe an infiltrator thing. I don't really know. There's this. There's just like the noise of rain or whatever. That one's really cool. Let me actually find that one. Mark it. Really nice. So there's fight grunts. Just little details, right? They're on -10 and -8, and the rest is like so ear-deafeningly distorted that you won't even hear those, but I like them. That's that. Shot 5 is the messiest thing I've ever made. I don't know why the group is green and everyone else is just a different color, but I used this sound again. The texture loop from the bars is this. It's also in here. Just like 3 different clips to accentuate the movement, because this is the way I wanted to get its movement in there. So there's that. There's this bass witch thing, which is processed with grain flux and just texture warping. So I don't really know what happened to this thing. It's a processed clip. If I go to bass witch, oh, it's that sound. Yeah, that's just a really weird way of using a sound. This is also, this is the resampled version of this. Only I resampled that onto here, and then I sped it up with complex warping. This is pitched up 9 semitones, this is 0, and this is also 0. But uses a different part of the sample, so it kind of works. So these 3. And then the stuff that's actually happening around it. The arm sequence group, that's full of different samples. The grabbing part right here is fully synced to its movement. So there's that. Some perks, another perk right here. And then this. Because it's like originally it's this. Tricky. This thing. There's this thing. Just all crunchy sounds. The grab. This is a funny group. So there's this. There's this thing. This is just metal bar movement. Another kind of low thing. And then without the delays, it sounds like that. But now it's like a bit more wobbly. The rest of the sounds are pretty much this. So there's the same laser impact, same Sennheiser, explosion thunderstorm that was also at the beginning. There's an umru sound, pretty weird. Tonal sweep, pretty much. And the earthquake, like very distorted impact. So those are all of the tracks that are inside of this project. It is a bit of an unorganized project. In hindsight, there's really not a whole bunch of mixing tools. I even have bare minimum on my master. The last plugin I have on this chain is the FabFilter Pro L2, which is my limiter of choice. And even if I turn down the gain on this thing, I think it's quite a clean. Yeah, well, this limiter pumps up quite a bit. Wait a minute. So yeah, that's actually without any extra limiter or input gain. That's quite a clean result, I would say. That's like pretty much a big takeaway. Don't make this mastering chain like too complex, right? If you have neat organization, well, this is not that neat in my opinion. It could have been better. But I was so passionate about this project that I forgot to sort and color code a whole bunch of things. So normally my projects wouldn't look like this anymore, but this is a year ago and we're now in 2024. If you have the correct sounds, if you have put in the effort to, where necessary, apply EQing to filter out any things, any frequencies that you do not want, and you've put your levels correctly, like this is -6, -6, 13.3, 6, -10.9, so that works for me. This has pretty much a whole different set of gain staging. There's this thing, 10, 6, 10.2, the overload thing is on 6, 6, and 6. I have my tracks on -6 decibels by default, so that they can never clip to begin with, right? Unless I drag in a insanely loud sample, anything that I put on here will have 6 decibels of headroom by default. Now that's really simple to do because insert audio track, put whatever you want on here. Normally mine comes loaded with Q3 on it and a utility with the gain set to -6. And I think it's just, yeah, save as default audio track. That's all you need to do. And then anytime you load in an audio track, it will automatically have -6, -9, -12 on the fader right here. Really neat, because then technically or theoretically what you would be able to do is just pump up the mastering chain by like whatever decibels you're missing and you should already be good to go. But what I could have done is like put Soothe 2 on here and see what frequencies it would filter out. But what I'm trying to say is don't overcomplicate the mastering process. Like, it can really just be as simple as this. And in my opinion, that works. I've had some professionals look at this as a video render, and they were amazed by the quality of how this thing actually sounded a year ago. So lessons to take away, or like tips and tricks to take away from this. I think what I can learn myself is some organization, and you guys should learn that too. Organize your files, like organize them by group, per shot, if you really like that. I personally wouldn't do this again, but I would just have groups of like a set of impacts, environment sounds, interior sounds, sounds per object, like car, and then divide them into interior and exterior, footsteps, Foley, whatever. I would do it like that nowadays. If that's not your thing, then don't use a different method, but don't have like a string of 50 million audio tracks that are ungrouped. Color code your stuff and have some kind of organization that works for you, right? Unless you're about to share the project with someone else, then you might want to think about how you're going to sort things out. But aside from that, who cares, right? Nobody's going to care, because the end result is a rendered video or a WAV file. And if people are like, yeah, that sounds good, you're fine. No one's going to look at the project. And if you guys have any like feedback on this project, if you guys have any feedback on this kind of video, because I have never done a project breakdown in my life, so it's kind of new for me to go over everything. Maybe you would want to see some more things in detail, and then I can do that with another project of mine, or actually show you something else inside of this project. Just let me know. Just let me know what you think. General thoughts, tips and tricks, do's and don'ts. Anyways, we'll play this thing one more time, and then I'll see you guys in the next video.